for £50. It's a cheap deal, and I promise you it will do you good, and then you'll get a fine all the potatoes. Plus, I've buried so there's like this series of red notebooks that all the Bobby lyrics were written in. And I've buried them in a waterproof casing underneath an octopus's belly. You just have to go in there and defeat the octopus with your ninja powers, and you'll be okay. It's a good deal. I've got a tour guide. I put it on YouTube. That's why we're in such a dingy basement, because our plan is so legit. It's a real business venture. It could be called.
Just connected to Wi-Fi. I'm getting your signal down here. Right.
Bourne. Bourne.
You guys
No.
have one chair there, one chair there, so there's a little bit of space between you guys.
David Lynch is there.
Oh no.
Fucking hell. I didn't know that. Is that old news? Is that announced earlier?
That must
David.
have been that last
For fuck's sake. Ah. I love Lynch.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, huh?
My dad made me watch The Razorhead when I was 11.
I've not seen any of them.
Changed my view of the world quite considerably.
When you were 11, right?
Yeah. It's not a film that 11-year-olds really get to watch.
Was it, oh, so I've just sent it.
It's his first ever film. It took him years to make it because he was still sort of at film school type thing, or art school.
Yeah, he went to art school.
Well, he paints, you know, he's an artist really, he's a painter. He doesn't really just think, man, his autobiography is beautiful.
He wrote it himself, the autobiography.
Well, it's kind of, it's structured in this way, in that a biographer, another writer, writes about a part of his life. And then what he does is he looks at what she's written, and then he also adds context and other things to the same period of his life. So both bits of text kind of work like biography. So he kind of comments on it and adds this and that, and he goes, yeah, that's true. And, yeah, I felt like this. So he gets to reflect on the thing that's written about him. So they did it both together. It's beautiful. It's just some really amazing things about making work and art, and you know, he's quite an ordinary guy. Hates Hollywood, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be right with that.
Yeah.
We're good.
How's it with the angle of this? Is it alright?
That looks it. Looks good.
Just this thing. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Because if it's an influence of yours, it's not ideal.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys who's just like always cool, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you'd enjoy it. Some of his films are a bit. He used the word uncanny, so it's kind of sort of very shadowy, in between worlds atmosphere that he gets out of people and the way he sets everything up. Some of it's quite nightmarish, and they're not really they're not horror films. They're all his films are totally different, but Twin Peaks that's probably his most famous creation. But I've not even seen all of them. Ready?
Do you want to clap?
What do we talk? Wait, before we start, are we? No, just start. Just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go for it.
So, I had the idea for making the second album when I was walking across Spain, because I walked from
The Pilgrimage.
Yeah, and dude, it was a day when I'd been throwing up all day because I ate some horrible tuna sandwich. And I was like, man, I really want to do an album with Matt and Harry. I was like, and so I started thinking about it. So as soon as I started writing for it actually as I was walking, because intricately on the album, I wrote as I was walking across Spain, because it was so hot in Spain. So writing this song about such a bleak landscape, which was so cold and isolated, was kind of it was just a kind of escapism, trying to get out of just this intense heat I was experiencing every day. And when I was in Spain, I had on consecutive nights three dreams, and so it was hard to write the words because I had a lot of mental blocks, but it's just a translation of those dreams I had when I was walking. And I'm thinking on the tape that's on the album, because it's just a live take with a few additional samples. What was your thinking between adding? How did you draw the line between atmosphere and then illustrating the lyrics? Because there's some moments where it feels more illustrative, and other moments where it's just atmosphere, or there's like Harry's on the gong, or you just like dig in all of a second it just shatters. It's like
right. Oh, so do you mean how to make those decisions?
Yeah, in the moment.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I think I can answer it by maybe first talking about if I'm playing on my own, or in a kind of a more, if you like, conventionally improvised setting where sort of songs and words, lyrics are involved. It's not really about the song. It's more about the texture and about the momentum. I think when things become, or when there's enough of a certain thing that's already being done in the situation, the music, that could be a texture or it could be something tonal or whatever, I will usually tend to inject or place something that is counter to whatever's going on, because partly, like if I'm on my own, it's because I get bored of what I'm doing. So I've never been scared of destroying or dismantling what's already there.
Yeah.
Partly because I think, well, somebody else is already doing this better than I am, so I don't need to do what everybody else is doing. But then when I'm working with other people, that rule still applies, but it's done a little more, a little differently in a collaborative setting, and particularly I think it's just to add like another layer of something else, rather than everybody contributing to the same thing, like the same texture and the same tonality, which is easily done. And sometimes everything converges and everyone finds themselves doing the same thing, and that's good. But sometimes when you arrive into that place and things are already happening, there's a reluctance sometimes for me to take part in that, and I often sort of will sit that out and then just feel for when to add something or destroy the Zoom recorder.
Yeah. It's funny that talking about.
Are we still rolling?
Yeah, but we've just lost some of the audio.
That's all right.
But we'll see.
Oh, is there audio in the camera as well, or is it just coming?
Yeah, there's audio.
Oh, so like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just.
It's not a very good explanation, actually.
That's all right. I imagine that seems like that's quite a core point to the way you work. It seems to probably circle back.
Yeah.
But it's strange you talk about having something to interrupt the atmosphere of what's already happening, because when I was, cutting up the session and bringing it together as an album, there's this, for me, quite a pivotal moment where we could call her Alex Starks, and I've taken an improv that you and Harry just did at some point in the session, and it's the most jarring and aggressive, it's somehow beautiful, but it's the thing ever, and it comes after I'm Lucky I Met You, which is it's like a real soothing song. It's just about all of us on it. You can just hear that we're each, it's so caring, and so when we could call it Alex like the most caring song I've ever written. It just starts with you like kind of extremes of the piano, you just go and you just instantly must.
Yeah.
I was very conscious of that myself and trying to accentuate that in what you and Harry were doing throughout the session.
Right.
You know, so.
I guess because we're not given a brief, you're quite careful not to give a specific brief, which is good. I mean, it's really. I mean, in that sense, Alabaster de Plume works in a very similar way. He will choose people who I think he likes, you know, who he likes to work with, or who's playing that he likes, or they're just good people actually knowing him. They're just like, I want these good people on this gig. And he doesn't say anything about what he's going to play, what key it's in, what anything is about. We just all walk on stage and things happen. And I think that's a gift. Yeah, I think it's quite special. Not everybody can summon that in a sort of an improvised group setting, and especially as a vocal performer as well. I think it's quite rare. But you know, you have that quality as well. I think, you know, there's like it's not an ordinary sort of. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to do this improv gig with some vocals and some songs, and it's not really like that. It's I don't know. There's a magic around it, partly because, you know, there's the stuff that you're bringing to the table and expressing is so personal and considered that sets the stage quite nicely. You know, it just sets the stage, and that's, you know, everyone in the room is doing that. They're not doing another thing. So, in a way, it's another situation in that, you know, as an improviser, I feel like I have to start all over again, learn again, which is brilliant.
Whoa. That is actually quite cool. Not gonna lie, like I'm always like, when it's just me and Tamiki hanging out, I'm just like, I don't know why anybody wants to play with me. But it's so kind that you say that, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's strange, you know. The reason why I'm really so careful about not giving any kind of brief, it's because, you know, for me, you know, as we were talking about it, I really just care about it nowadays being my total self-expression, what I do.
Yeah.
Can't add nothing else. And if I'm asking you guys who I admire so much to be on it with me, I feel that by not giving you a brief, it gives you the most chance of expressing yourselves as possible while still kind of playing with me, you know?
Yeah.
So, does that work out?
Yeah. Well, we only do the gig because we love you. See? That's true. It's true, man. It's true.
Oh, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I was thinking during the session, doing it all in one day, for me, was like,
it's intense, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was a gamble, you know.
Mm.
Was it for you guys too, or is it just like because you improvise far more than I do? So is it more natural? Or?
Well, since I've known you and your work, and obviously doing more playing with you, and with Harry as well, and, you know, and whoever else comes in and out. I think on that day, if we're talking about that day, I think to me it's more of just a continuum. So it wasn't like there was anything particularly heightened about that event. It was more like, right, we're doing this. We're in this world again here today. A lot like we were in that world. You know, at open source.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
So to me, it's more like it's like adding another chapter rather than it being like something you necessarily like gear up for or prepare for. Like personally speaking, it's just like, right, great, we're just adding another chapter to the story. That's how it feels to me when we all meet up and do stuff. and that's how that session felt. But I do, now we're talking about it, there was a concentrated, like a quiet intensity about everything, you know. So everybody was there for the same reason. Somehow, yeah.
Talking about kind of different chapters, you know, I'm really fortunate in that I seem to meet quite, in my mind, just these really strong imaginary people at some of the surface, but people who begin in my mind and then go to exist out my mind, like Kyra, you know, she was just so special to me. And you know, the first album was kind of named after her, and you know, for me, having this album named after Alex, who, you know, Alex was only around for a few months, really, you know, but you know, and that song about her, it really means so much to me. How much are you aware of these? Because before we do each gig, we still do the Kyra prayer, which has grown a lot since it began. But it's that vocal improv about her to kind of get us in the mind. How much are you aware of like Alex or Kyra? Do they play into your mind as chapters, or are you more thinking about it musically?
You mean does the theme or the idea? I guess because, you know, to me it's more of it's more abstract because they're things that are personal to you. They're happening within you.
Yeah.
So to me, it's more of an idea and an energy. So when we do those things, those sort of incantation, like coming together before the gig. To me, it's sort of divining a sense of someone, the energy of something special, of somebody special, or you know, not in any sort of shamanistic way, or maybe it is. I mean, it doesn't even matter if it is, does it? But you know, there's some sort of divining that goes on. There's some sort of reset or setting of an energy that again makes doing what we do with you different to just sort of rocking up and doing the sound check and then just going straight in. It's totally different. Even if we didn't do the prayer before, it would still be special and different in the same way, I think. But again, because we know you, because we know about these themes, because we know about those aspects of the work and things that are personal to you, then they colour how we vibe together on it and off stage. And I think so.
Yeah.
So that it's an essential ingredient, right?
Yeah, for me.
It's kind of, you know, you could work with people who, you know, are not so interested in that, but then that might block. That might block things for you.
To be honest.
That might block something for you, and you don't, you know, when you're up there, when you're out there doing the work, you don't want to feel that the people that you're doing the work with aren't 100% either. So
yeah, that's true.
So that's the thing.
Thinking more like about the kind of themes of my work. I was thinking about this. There's this like horror theme that I can't seem to get out of, man. Like even in like as I say, we could call it Alex, which is the most. I'm very proud of that song in the same way that I'm proud of Pink Devil, you know. And it's like we could call it Alex. It's been about my imaginary daughter. There's, you know, I go in and talk about her brain and her brain cells. It's this like intense what I call body horror, but that's just my way of thinking about it. And I was really trying to place it the other day.
How does that manifest itself in the performance? Is it through lyrics, or is it through a tone of voice? Or
it's been through a tone for a long time now. And we did this celebrating Bob Dylan gig a while back, and it just reached its peak, and it was horrendous. It was a beautiful gig, but for me it was just horrendous. It was just violent. It was
right.
And there's other elements to the songs, because all the songs are composed from collage. Like in We Call It Alex, you know, you've got elements of when I was writing it, the Saw 10 was coming out of cinemas, and so just that film posters and buses going everywhere, and it scared me so much, this film poster. I couldn't get it out of my head, you know. And then it's paired with like this beautiful painting of Jesus I've got in my room, and he's walking on water out of the boat with the fishing net. And then you've got this idea, which never made it into the song, but I once saw this burning horse run across my room, and the whole ceiling came down, you know, and it was just all. And then you've got my imaginary daughter, and then I was in Nero one time, and this lady came in with corn braids and these like really tight knitted jewels in her braids. And well, this is what I mean. This all goes into one song, and the songs have been horrendously building just on that horror element for a long time in live performance, and that's why Pink Devil is always the end, and why there's such a fascination with like just saying sperm, hydrogen, protein, fat, sperm, because these words scare me. You know, that's why I say that.
Right.
And I don't want to do it anymore, man. It's too much, you know. Yeah, fuck off that Bob Dylan gig. I just couldn't talk, man. It's too much, and it's just that atmosphere, and you know, particularly now we have the fortune to often work with dancers. You know, they really embody that atmosphere so much. I think it's more illustrated, you know. But I don't want to do it like that anymore. You know, I had such a wonderful experience. The first duo set I did with Edna in September, it was like. It was so for finally leaning into that horror element now.
Yeah.
It was the caring element.
Yeah.
And it was funny element. So I've talked a lot, but it's. Do you know the artist Rebecca Horn? I'll talk about.
I don't.
Oh,
No,
dude, man, I saw her work when I was like 11,
Yeah.
or maybe younger. My mum just took me, and she's got like these wing suits, these masks. I think it's always never left my mind. I think that's the insight and creative. That was just such an influential moment, although I didn't realise at the time.
Yeah. And you were 11?
Yeah, or younger, you know. I
Yeah.
think I was probably younger, because at 11 I'd probably be like, oh, I'm too cool for this now. My mum likes it, so I'm going to hate it. Do you know what I mean?
11's, well, that was pivotal for you. Like, you know, talking to David Lynch earlier, I saw Eraserhead when I was 11.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's not quite the same. Well, it is the same. Like, it
is.
kind of sets a tone of how you experience, or for how I experience film or looked at things visually. But for you as well, that would have set a tone for the way that you,
I think so.
you know, got into that world thereafter. I think. Yeah, important.
I talked a lot quite fast as well, because I got excited. Is there anything, you got any questions you want me to, anything further explore? Because I threw out a lot there.
I don't know, no, I think, not at the moment. I mean, there will be.
yeah.
Not right now. 'Cause my head's like on the gig now, my head's like,
oh yeah.
there's stuff going on now, I'm tuning into the,
You can feel the
the
people
upstairs.
moving the piano upstairs.
yeah.
Well, I think.
Well, I hope that's been useful too.
Yeah. I think that'd be. Dude, thanks so much for doing it with me. Oh god.
My pleasure, man. Always.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
It's always a pleasure.
Not sure how it happens, but it's good.
I know, no one knows.
Do you want to do a freestyle with me?
Yeah. I've never done that in my life.
Really, I've started doing it all the time because it makes the kids laugh, so I just do it.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we will. Thanks
Right?
for that.
Oh no.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of like bits
Yeah.
all over.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Man, Rebecca Bourne is like